Coming up next, we sat down with Fitchburg Mayor Steve DiNatale. Well, it's been a while since we've had an opportunity to sit and talk with Mayor Stephen DiNatale, and it's a great pleasure to have you with us here on North Central Journal. There's so much going on now as we've finally, I think, into spring. We have Civic Days right around the corner and a number of projects going on in Fitchburg. It just seemed to, as soon as we hit the month of April, things kind of exploded. Yeah. So let's start with the renovation at City Hall. That's underway. And what is the time frame for that project, and how far along City Hall and the annex?
Yeah, we're looking at, the project is progressing well. Matter of fact, just about 95% of the interior demolition has been completed. I think people will notice when you're driving up Main Street, windows are out. There's a lot of activity there, and I think that's important for folks to see that. The next aspect of the project will be the roof, and that'll be replaced as well. So we're making progress. We're looking at groundbreaking in June. That's a couple of weeks away, and then with hopefully a grand opening in the fall of 2020. So we're excited about that.
And you have the annex, the old Bank of America.
The old Bank of America building.
That's part of the project.
Old. Yeah, that was gifted to us through my office's efforts from the Bank of America to the city of Fitchburg, and that will be the city council chambers, and will look very, very different than it looks today. But it's a solid building. It's in great shape, and that will free up space in the city hall proper for just about all departments to be in that building under one roof.
I had an opportunity a few weeks ago to walk through City Hall before the renovation began.
Yep.
We did a little filming of how it looked then,
right.
And I hadn't been through the whole building. It's a massive, massive building. Is everything from top to bottom going to be renovated?
With the exception of the floors, everything. As a matter of fact, if you go in there now, Scott, you can stand at the front door and look out the back of the building. It's pretty amazing. If you remember what it looked like,
sure.
It was, a series of passageways and hallways and stairways to nowhere. There was a lot of that. Literally on the second floor, there was a stairway that people would always end up in my office when I was a state rep. My first office was in City Hall, and they would knock on the door. I'm looking for the DPW office. I said, don't go up and take a right on that staircase. Stay to the left, because the right takes you literally up 3 steps and then a wall. So it's not going to help you.
So that's a big project going on, and right across the street in January there was a dedication ribbon cutting for the Fitchburg Theater District project, the Idea Lab.
Right.
Now the upper floor of the old theater has been completed.
Up and running. It's a beautiful space.
Sure is. Now there's more to happen there too.
There's a lot of game design going in there. A much sought after program and discipline for young college students today, and it's game design, and that's what's happening there. Well beyond what my capacity to understand any of that stuff. So, but when you go up there, it's you can see it's conducive to that entrepreneurial spirit that we're hoping is going to generate, the Steve Jobs of the future, maybe. So, yeah, and the theater itself has passed the first phase of historic tax credits, which is kind of unusual that they got that in the first round. The next aspect of it, they'll be going after new market tax credits. And if this all cobbles together the way we're hoping it does and we're planning for it, those tax credits could fund north of 40% of the construction costs for the building. So, and that's an old movie theater. I think it was a 1,400 seat theater.
Yeah, it was an interesting spot back in the day, yeah.
We toured that building, about a year ago with the lieutenant governor. And we went in went at the top of where the theater proper was. And you could hear the water. You probably still can. Nothing's been done, but yeah, it's a disaster inside.
Yeah.
But there'll be that day when we're going to see that transform into a performing arts center that just will. I think that will add, along with City Hall, will add to an explosion in that area in terms of interest, commercial retail, and housing. You know, and that's linked, probably a nice segue into the Fitchburg arts community.
We're just going to bring that up right around the corner, the old B.F. Brown School.
That's right, yeah. And that is, roof's been put on, it's a brand new roof. That was completed several months ago. And again, tax credits, they're working on tax credits. And one aspect of it is what some of the funding that's going to be secured through those efforts will go to kind of a facelift on Low Park right next door. Because we want to link that. New View, Mark Doan and his folks want to link that process together where there's a coordinated effort. I mean, the people living there will also use the park, and so will the young people in the city of Fitchburg. So it's all good.
Now we move to the other end of Main Street and down toward the old Woolworths area, the parking garage. There's a street called Mill Street that a lot of folks probably don't realize actually exists.
Yeah.
But there's a plan for a fundraising plan going on, or a project going on right now for matching funds.
Right. We're privately raising $40,000, and Mass Development is providing the other 40, and that will be used to. We've got artist renditions. It's going to be a space that we can have people gather. Musical events will go on. Just a space for community involvement, and it's going to look significantly different than it looks today, and we're excited about that as well. And the fundraising is almost there on our end.
Good, great.
We've had many generous contributions from some of the private sector folks in the city of Fitchburg, so we're certainly appreciative of that.
And then we heard recently about another project in Fitchburg on River Street, the old Ivor Johnson building, that is, I guess, targeted for some housing.
That's probably one of the more exciting aspects. I mean, it's in its very, very early stages. But if you link that with the yarn mill, which is right across the river, there's all kinds of potential there. And Aldo Mazzaferro Jr. and become a good friend of mine.
Got to be a Leominster guy,
He's a Leominster guy. Yeah. There was two Leominster guys sitting in the office, and when we first met, and he made his bones in New York City with doing steel futures or something like that, some kind of a high-level process with steel on the commodities market or something. I don't know. That's not a commodity, but anyway. So he's very much interested. He owns those buildings now, all three of them. They're involved in some abatement right now. You'll see some activity with heavy equipment. It was the old Ivor Johnson building, so there's probably a lot of material in the ground that needs to be abated and removed, which they're going to do. He's looking at housing, and we're also in discussions with him with some kind of a commercial connection as well. We've given all that housing with the yarn mill and his project. There'll be a need for some of those amenities. So another great opportunity. There's also a walking bridge that was there for many, many years. Probably a 150-year-old bridge that goes across the river from the yarn mill to the Ivor Johnson buildings. And we're going to begin discussions on how we can partner with Wynn, who owns the yarn mill, and the Mazzaferros to see if we can rehab, or actually it's going to require a brand new bridge. But again, there's that link to those folks in the yarn mill and what we want to have happen with the River Street area that was hit by that fire several years ago.
Right, yeah.
That's prime space for commercial retail.
Yeah.
And then you have that bridge to bring people to that area. hopefully there'll be a an infusion of restaurants and eateries and things like that. So
We want to move out toward Waits Corner to that area, and you're talking about bridges, and there is a bridge on Westminster Street that people are familiar with
Right.
near the British American Club that is also targeted now for a complete renovation, right?
And that's going to be happening soon.
Yeah.
I think the DPW Commissioner, Lenny Laxo, in a communique to me, I can't recall what, but I think it's going to be happening this summer.
Yeah, I come in that way, so I'm planning my route around.
Right, you want to go around. But that's a heavily traveled
Sure
road,
is, yeah.
and that bridge is in severe need of some improvements. So that's a good thing.
So speaking of West Fitchburg, Waits Corner area,
Yeah.
something we haven't heard a lot about, but of course we've just come out of the winter, which generally means construction is on a hold for the winter.
Yeah.
That's Game On, the
Yeah.
soccer field project.
Yeah.
What's new up there?
That's moving forward. They're doing well. They ran into some difficulty with more ledge than was anticipated, so that kind of held up a little more blasting than they normally would have done, and also didn't help that we had such a significant dry spell during the spring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, really.
Not much rain, right? A lot of the rain held up some of it. But within early June, they're going to be beginning the erection of steel in the building itself. And it's a 115,000 square foot field house that will have 2 turf fields inside, restaurants, meeting spaces. It's going to be a true community space as well. It'll be available to the community. So we're thinking in the wintertime, folks want to use that to walk and exercise, and when the weather doesn't cooperate, that'll be available to them. So we're looking at, I should say, he's looking at an opening in early fall this year.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Now, we are also, speaking of the month of June and July, of course, Civic Days is right around the corner.
Oh.
The planning has been underway for quite some time. Oh, gee, what do you know?
I got my schedule. There's so much going on. I have to refer to my schedule here.
Well, I'm thinking about the upper common area that has recently been redone. The road, Main Street has been redone,
Yeah.
Boulder Drive, in the upper common area. And I was seeing that work going on, wondering, gee, how are the cyclists going to like this? But it's going to be a pretty smooth.
Yeah, well,
smooth
that
ride
section
around there.
anyway.
Yeah, that section. So
we'll try and make it as smooth as possible.
So
Yeah.
we'll finish up with the long show, but there are other things happening before that.
Yeah.
A number of events
Yeah.
underway and being planned by the
Yeah.
Civic Days Committee. So let's talk a little bit
We've
about
got so
that.
much going on. We got the Nashville River Brewers Fest, always huge.
Yeah.
That's June 29th from 1 to 6 p.m. at our Riverfront Park. I mean, that, again, always a fan favorite. It's always well attended.
It sure
Very
is.
crowded.
Yeah.
Yep. July 3rd from 5 to 10 p.m. is the block party. And I don't know if people realize this, but that has grown. Last year, we were over 15,000 people that attended that event. And we're looking at close to 20 this year as well.
Wow.
And A.J. Tarigny, my chief of staff, just does an outstanding job, along with Diane Burnett
Yeah.
and Ray Burnett. Ray's
right there.
Ray's always right there. He's the quiet guy, but believe me, he provides a heck of a lot of expertise and sweat equity, as they say. Yeah.
And that's followed by fireworks? then?
July 3rd is the fireworks,
Yep.
of course, that night off of Rollstone Hill. That's at 10 p.m. And then July 4th.
What happens then?
We're going to begin July 4th. You'll forgive me, with a bang. At 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, yes.
5:30 in the morning, we'll be on Rollstone Hill with one of our 12-pound Napoleon cannons that was just fired
I saw the
at
video.
the Orange Airport.
I saw the video.
We did a test firing. You saw the video.
I saw you.
You know, I was contained. Not. But it was, that was exciting stuff. I mean, we're thrilled about that. Cannon have all been refurbished through private donations. The Crocker Foundation, Wallace Foundations, some of the banks in the community. It was a $30,000 project. Now they can remain outside. They were made out of wood, and they broke down over the years.
Sure,
So we had to transport them every year in and out of the DPW barn, and it's not an appropriate space for those kinds of relics, if you will. So, but again, that's something that was done a number of years ago. They would fire the cannon from Rollstone Hill to begin the 4th of July festivities. Well, that will be reborn on July 4th this year. Also, July 6th, Wally is going to be at Riverfront Park on Boulder Drive, and that's the wall monster, Wally, the Boston Red Sox mascot.
Oh, yeah, the Green Monster, yes.
Yeah, there he is right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be there. And then July 6th, the amazing duck race.
Yes.
It's always amazing.
There is a duck, there's a duck the size of Wally, the Green Monster, too, isn't
That's
there?
right. That'll be, yeah, he kind of rises out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he'll be there. And I'll have you know, I won last year.
You did?
I did.
And what did you win?
I was the loser duck. I was the last duck.
the
last duck wins, apparently, and I was the last duck. Yeah, a couple of tickets to the Museum of Science. It was good. And then Sunday is the Longzhou Classic on July 7th, 8:30 in the morning to 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon. So a full slate of events coming up this summer.
And of course, we will be a part of a lot of those things, both with coverage and we've been working with A.J. Turigny, your chief of staff. Because of the construction at City Hall, we have to find a location for our production truck.
Oh, that's right.
We have. Wood Place is going to be our place this year. So folks will be able to see the FATV crew at work and covering these events as well. So
you guys.
And the planning started in January.
Yeah,
we've been on the on the list for 5 months now.
You guys do a great job. You're so part of the community. We couldn't do without you guys. So
and I know there's a lot going on too at Crocker Field. There's a lot of discussion about what needs to be done at Crocker, and we've been tuned into a lot of things there, and we'll keep folks up to date as things are planned and start to progress at Crocker Field.
Yeah, there's we need to make some decisions with the field.
Yeah.
So we'll be meeting next week, I believe. Superintendent, along with one of the consultant that we've hired to that knows all things fields.
Yeah.
And
that's what you need.
That's what you need, right? Because I don't. Right.
Well, it's always great talking with you, and we're happy that you took the time to come in and have this discussion, and certainly keep folks up to date on all the things that are going on in Fitchburg. It's really exciting, and I know that you're very pleased with all the progress that is being made and all the efforts, so many folks involved behind the scenes, folks who don't get the credit but are doing the work.
That's right. And there are a lot
it really is a team approach. And,
we're
it's good to see it happening.
Yeah, we're thrilled that people should really be proud of the fact that Fitchburg is some have said, I'm not sure that it's quite the term, but is experiencing somewhat of a little renaissance, a rebirth, if you will. And that's the direction we're heading in.
Excellent. Great to see you, Mayor.
Thank you, Scott.
I decided on pursuing the superintendency last year because to me it was a natural extension of what I had been doing the prior 10 years in the school district, working closely with Superintendent Ravenel, Assistant Superintendent Giaquinto, and many of the principals to help make Fitchburg the best urban district in the state. While over the past 10 years I'd focused more on the operational side, I'd also participated in some of the initiatives in terms of professional development related to teaching and learning, and also really trying to help the teachers and the principals have the resources to provide a quality public education to all of our students. So there's been a lot of transition over the last year, and we're still in the process of interviewing. So in the beginning of October, when I first started as the acting superintendent, we made a couple changes over the first few months in terms of the principalship over at Rheingold Elementary, and in February over at McKay Arts Academy. That latter position had been funded in the agreement between the city and Fitchburg State College, where the principalship had been owned by the university. So it was kind of neither fish nor fowl in terms of who that principal reported to. It was, so as we had the opportunity to take ownership of the principal, and really now next year have that person be part of the Fitchburg team, we really wanted to have control given that school's accountability status. So work at Crocker has been ongoing now for nearly a year and a half. We had an incident there in December of 2017 that resulted in the closure of the two-story wing, which was the third and fourth grade wing at that school. Students were dispersed to Passio School in Lunenburg, and the third and fourth grade and some pre-K remain over at St. Anthony's. We're working with the insurance company and their contractors to try to complete the repairs of that two-story wing as soon as possible. Unfortunately, the insurance company is really in charge of the schedule and the pacing of that completion. Our goal is to have the third and fourth graders return by August 15th. There's still some work that remains in terms of floor tiles, putting in the new univent, the heating system, the blowers, and some electrical upgrades to be able to do that. So we're hoping that we can open on the 15th of August. I'll say that's a goal. One thing I've learned over the last year and a half in terms of construction and schedules is usually those schedules don't get met. But at this point, it's still possible. And really, we're just trying to communicate with the insurance company and their contractors and try to cross the finish line. Worst case scenario, we would open or reopen at St. Anthony's for the third and fourth grade and move those students back in, in September or the early fall, but as soon as possible. That's our number one goal, is to reunite that school community and the staff and move forward. The second project at Crocker involves the Mass School Building Authority, and we're in the feasibility stage right now with the MSBA. Over the last year, our enrollment has grown in the school district, and what we've seen is higher class size levels across the district from K through sixth grade, and that higher level or higher class size entering the middle schools has been putting some pressure on the classrooms. So MSBA asked us for the short term and long term to revisit our enrollment projections, and we're also working with our outside consultants, NESDEC, to update our enrollment projection for MSBA so that the MSBA is adequately informed of what the enrollment will look like when a project decision is made over the next year. With regards to what that school will look like right now, we don't know if it will be a K through 4 or a K through 8 project. That's to be determined over the next year in the feasibility study. So the main project over at Longsjo is clearly the roof, the cupola, and the gutter system. Unfortunately, we've been impacted by Mother Nature both last summer, the winter, and the spring in terms of wind and rain. The roof is sealed. The leaks have stopped. We're working now with the contractor to finish the cupola and the gutters. And while I don't have an exact date, I would imagine that project will be fully completed sometime this summer. The Crocker Field Restoration Committee is working with I think they're a civil engineering firm to get some plans prepared for how best to proceed. What it looks like right now is we're going to do a little bit of repairs to make sure that field is playable for the upcoming season. We're working with the school, between the school department, the city, and the Crocker Field Restoration Committee. We're in conversations about how to, in the short term, have the field playable for this coming fall season. And then looking at, the longer term next year, what the scope of the repair project of the field, because really that project would be a a natural grass replacement and an upgrade to the sprinkler system. But until we get the designs from the engineers, it's hard to say, the scope and cost of that project. First of all, my goal is to make Fitchburg the best urban school district in the state. We're in the process now of hiring new principals. We've had 6 of 8 openings. So we've hired 3 new principals. 2 of those people already in the district, Mark Pierce over at McKay Arts Academy, and Brittany Lavoie has been appointed the principal of Memorial Middle School next year. We just made an offer to a principal who has been working in Lawrence for the last 13 years, Shigehito Tanaka, who came to this country from Japan to study middle school education, and of all the places that he could have attended in this country to study that, he attended Fitchburg State. So he has a real soft spot and desire to return to Fitchburg and work in an urban school district. So right now we are in the process of interviewing for school principals right now at the elementary school level. Those searches are ongoing. We did just hire a new athletic director, Craig Antossi, to replace Ray Cosenza, who's retiring in August. Craig has been in this district at Fitchburg High School as a physics teacher. I think he's going to be an excellent add for the school department and the community. My goal is to have all students have equitable educational opportunities. Right now we have a little bit of a disparity between the outcomes at our schools. We're using the statewide MCAS test benchmarks. Crocker is in the 46th percentile, and we have some elementary schools in the single digits. We're actively working with the Department of Education's statewide system of support to help improve educational, social, emotional, and behavioral outcomes at those schools. So my goal in 3 to 5 years is that all schools will be high performing, and parents in Fitchburg should not be concerned if their child attends one elementary school or another, or one middle school or another. And also with Fitchburg High School, that it prepares students for both career and college. Working very closely with the principal, Jeremy Roach at Fitchburg High, to create more career pathways and opportunities for our students who are choosing that route.